China is directly subsidizing fentanyl precursors, fueling the US opioid crisis. We have more on this coming up on Business Matters. And good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me here today. I'm Don Mai. To start off, markets, of course. Wall Street stocks ended mixed today, and Treasury yields climbed. Investors now are watching the path of interest rates that the U.S. Federal Reserve will take. Now, Fed Chair Jerome Powell said earlier today that recent inflation data has not given policymakers enough confidence, not just yet, at least, to ease soon. Also, they're noting that the U.S. Central Bank may need to keep rates higher for longer than previously thought. The technology and healthcare sectors were the biggest supports for the S&P 500, while real estate was the biggest drag on the index today. Now let's talk about Donald Trump. Always interesting to talk about him. Shares of former President Trump's media company tumbled again today after closing much lower yesterday. Now, what is driving the stock lower today? Well, it seems like it's because the company says it's going to be entering the streaming market of all things. Now, the company plans to roll out a live TV streaming platform in phases. Now, I have to mention, streaming is a notoriously cost-intensive business. Even media behemoths like Disney have struggled to turn a profit. TMTG's stock, or better known as its ticker symbol, DJT, is down more than 70% from its all-time highs. The company, though, still worth billions of dollars despite that decline. Let's talk about the Justice Department today. Big news. It's filing an antitrust lawsuit against Live Nation. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Live Nation is, by the way, the parent company of Ticketmaster, has faced issues over the past for its dominance in the ticketing industry. Now, critics suggest that it is only able to raise tickets prices because of a lack of competition. But of course, Live Nation doesn't see it that way. It claims that prices are simply determined by the artist teams and venues, as well as supply and demand. Lawmakers now starting to raise questions about the company's practices since the pre-sale meltdown of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour in 2022. We all remember that. Okay, let's talk about pilots and the union at American Airlines. It says that there's been a significant spike in safety issues with the airline. Now, those problems include potentially fewer routine inspections and shorter test flights on planes after major maintenance work. A spokesman said yesterday that union officials have raised their concerns with senior managers at American. He added that they were encouraged by the airline's response, though. The carrier says that it has an industry-leading safety management system. An airline spokesman added that American is in regular contact with regulators and unions. The union said that American has increased the time between routine inspection on planes. Now, the power of the United Auto Workers Union will be put to the test this week. And Volkswagen workers in Chattanooga, Tennessee, are going to vote whether to organize with the union or not. A victory would give the UAW its first major automakers win outside of the big three in Detroit. That's General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler parent Stellantis. More than 4,000 VW workers are eligible to vote. A simple majority is needed to succeed, and of course, a loss would mean the latest failure for the union has faced decades of unsuccessful drives, in fact, involving two previous attempts at the Tennessee VW plant. Now, a scam warning for you guys. Cyber thieves are opening up fake pharmacies online and selling counterfeit drugs. Cybersecurity firm Brand Shield is on a mission to take those sites down. So I spoke with the company's CEO, Yolov Karen, about how his firm finds the scammers and the warning signs shoppers should look out for. Here's what he said. Yola, thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it. So to start off, I just want to get an overview of this report. So Brand Shield released a report on fraudulent drug listings and rogue pharmacies. Sounds very important to me. Tell us about this report.
So we are working with the Pharmaceutical Security Institute, and what we are doing is called a disruption program that is intended to stop fake drugs from being sold online, counterfeited drugs. This is a huge problem worldwide that is increasing in the past few years, especially since COVID. We've seen a lot of move worldwide of scammers, of cyber criminals to create fake pharmacies and perform a lot of counterfeit sales or scams through social media, selling fake drugs on different e-commerce platforms. What we've done last year, we've took down a huge number of fake pharmacies, over 1,600 fake pharmacies worldwide. That's only this program. We have some direct program with other pharmaceutical companies. We took down over 7,600 other listings, social media posts, and users and accounts that are performing scams. So this is a big problem, and a lot of people are falling for that.
I just want our viewers to understand the full extent of the risks here. Would you lay out for us, the harm that these fake drugs and pharmacies pose?
Sure. So first of all, if you buy a drug online that is counterfeited, this is literally something that can kill you. All right. So this is not buying a fake T-shirt. This is really dangerous. Now, in the cases that we're dealing in, the fake pharmacies or fake listings on e-commerce platforms or sales on social media, these are not only cases where they sell drugs. In many cases, they also just perform a scam. So they just steal people's information, social security numbers, credit cards numbers, and other information, or infiltrate even their systems. And our activity is basically not only taking down these websites by submitting the intelligence that we've detected to the relevant service providers, which can be hosting providers, or the social media platforms, or the e-commerce websites.
And maybe just a couple more questions here. And I think this is something that maybe our viewers will find helpful to them. If you wouldn't mind giving us some tips as to how to avoid these types of things.
Yes, of course. The way to avoid this is, first of all, when you want to buy anything online, the first thing that you need to check is that the website you came to has the exact name of the company or the drug that you want to buy, with no typos. If there are typos, it's a scam. If someone approaches you through social media or through instant messaging like WhatsApp or Messenger, something like that, and offers you some special offer, sends you a text message that is related to buying drugs, it's usually a scam. Be very careful. If you see an ad that is related to buying drugs or buying any other type of healthcare products, and there's some special cost, make sure that you can reach the page that you were directed to from that ad on social media or whatever in the original website of the company. And the bottom line, especially with drugs and prescription drugs, is that you cannot buy prescription drugs online without a prescription. That is something that is a really good mark of a potential counterfeited drug. No legitimate pharmacy will sell you a prescription drug online without the prescription. And therefore, be very careful from that. You're really putting yourself and your health in risk.
All right, incredible tips here, Yoav Karen, CEO of Brand Shield. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Microsoft is investing $1.5 billion in a UAE-based artificial intelligence firm, G42. But here's the catch. In order for the AI firm to actually cut a deal with Microsoft, the company has had to cut ties first with China, or limited at least. NTD Sean Marshall has more on that.
Microsoft is investing $1.5 billion in United Arab Emirates-based artificial intelligence firm G42, allowing the two to deepen ties amid a global battle for tech dominance. Based in Abu Dhabi, G42 runs data centers in the Middle East and has increasingly identified itself as an AI firm. As part of the deal, G42 will run its AI applications on Microsoft's cloud, and the two companies will work to bring digital infrastructure to countries in the Middle East. Microsoft's president Brad Smith will take a seat on G42's board. G42 has come under scrutiny over its ties to Chinese businesses. Its tech fund reportedly invested in Chinese companies, including TikTok's Chinese parent ByteDance. Lately, the company has moved to cut ties with China, divesting from the country and pulling out Chinese hardware. As part of the deal with Microsoft, G42 said it will cease using Huawei telecom equipment, which the U.S. fears could provide a backdoor for Chinese intelligence agencies. G42 and Microsoft have collaborated multiple times over the last year. In separate statements Tuesday, both companies assured the two countries' governments they would ensure secure and responsible development and deployment of AI. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
All right, thanks for that, Sean. Always great reports. Let's stay here for a bit on the tech sector. Intel is launching AI chips that are just for China. So Intel plans to release 2 chips with reduced capabilities. This is in order to comply with U.S. export controls and sanctions. Now, last year, if you remember, the U.S. tightened a rule which caps the capabilities of AI chips that can be shipped to China. A white paper online shows the 2 chips will be launched in June and September, respectively. Rival NVIDIA has similar strategies in the works as well. Meanwhile, China is directly subsidizing production of illicit fentanyl precursors for sale abroad, and this is fueling the U.S. opioid crisis. This is according to a congressional committee. Members released documents today that show findings from an investigation. It said that it unveiled Beijing's incentives for the deadly chemicals. Listen.
As our committee investigation unveiled today, the CCP is subsidizing, awarding, and investing in chemical companies that are responsible. They're failing to prosecute these companies or collaborate with U.S. law enforcement, essentially conducting forms of legal and illegal statecraft to unleash an all-out drug warfare in a, what I think, not so covert effort to weaken their opponents and overthrow the democratic system.
The PRC and the CCP are not just bystanders. They are prime movers. First, the committee's investigators have found a hidden PRC government website, currently fully active, that offers complete tax rebates incentivizing the export of all fentanyl analogs and precursors, as well as other synthetic narcotics, drugs that are illegal in the U.S., illegal in China, and have no legitimate purpose. The tax rates are among the highest offered and allow companies to effectively operate tax-free when they export fentanyl precursors. Second, the committee's evidence shows that the PRC provides grants and awards to companies that are engaged in open and notorious synthetic narcotic manufacturing and drug trafficking.
Since the Biden-Xi meeting, would you say, based on your own knowledge, Mr. Barr, and the findings of this report, that the PRC has in any way meaningfully taken any steps to reduce the production of fentanyl precursors?
I'm not aware of any material steps that they've taken.
And here's the thing, a new bill to ban TikTok could actually be up for a House vote this week. It's different than the House what it passed last month. Sources are saying that this time the ban is tucked into a set of 4 separate bills, and they address Democrats' foreign aid priorities. It could hold some appeal for Democrats and make the ban harder for the Senate to ignore. The Senate has yet to take up a previous TikTok bill, which the House passed with strong bipartisan support last month. It would ban the platform from U.S. app stores unless it spun off from its Chinese parent company, ByteDance. Supporters of that measure say that the social media company is a national security risk. TikTok says about 170 million Americans use the platform, and banning it faces some opposition, to say the least. Now, the U.S. is also evaluating its trade strategy with China. The Biden administration is taking a, quote, serious look at U.S. trade defense tools against China. And that's what U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai told lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Tai said that a top goal for the administration is to reduce dependencies on China and diversify supply sources. This is partially a response to the bottlenecks that crippled the economy during the pandemic. And we're just going to take a short break now, but coming up is it's one thing, you know, that retired people aren't supposed to do: go back to work. So why are so many re-entering the job market? We'll explain later. Also, these unwelcome guests stay on your property unbeknownst to you long enough to get the right to stay there, actually, sort of. Here's NTD's Chris Beers. He's going to join us after the break to tell us all about what the squatters are about to do. He'll explain everything. Don't go away.
How'd it happen?
She showed up dead on arrival.
This never gets easier.
It does when you call Car Shield before your car breaks down. Look at these prices. The camshaft, transmission, engine.
Don't people know? A plan through Car Shield could protect up to 5,000 parts and systems.
You hate to see it.
An out-of-warranty car is gonna break down eventually.
Right, which is why they need a plan through Car Shield. Those expensive repair bills get paid and at the mechanic of their choice. They're notifying the family.
Poor guy, he doesn't even know what's coming.
Another victim of senselessly expensive repair bills. Can't save them all.
But we can keep trying. Didn't have to end this way. If he'd have just called Car Shield before his car broke down.
Exactly.
Protect yourself from the unprecedented rise in cost for parts and repairs. Call now to save money with your price lock guarantee. Call 800-429-5128.
If you're watching this, I didn't make it. Thanks to people like you and the American Heart Association, my family never had to see this video. I was a healthy 47-year-old, no symptoms, but then my doctor discovered I had a bad heart valve that was beyond repair. The scariest day of my life was when I was sitting on a gurney as I looked and my wife was at my side and my kids had me surrounded. Deep down, you know, this could be it. This could be all there is.
Not having him around for Riley to grow up with and have that papa figure in his life, that would have been hard.
This little heart valve did something really big. It saved my life. I wouldn't be here today without it. The research for this heart valve was funded by the American Heart Association. And that's why I'm asking you to become a monthly donor for just $19 a month. When you do, you'll help fund the next medical breakthrough that could save your life or the life of someone you love. You'll also provide life-saving CPR training and help certify hospitals to give the best care to those who have had a heart attack or stroke. When you give $19 a month, we'll send you a t-shirt just like this one. From the moment you put it on, you'll help raise awareness for heart disease and stroke. Since my surgery, I had a son get married. I had a daughter graduate high school. I had another daughter give birth to a precious boy. I would have missed all that. And that's why it's personal for me.
We're very thankful for everyone who is a donor because it gives us more time.
Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack. The next person you help save could be someone you love or even you. Become a monthly donor today by calling or going to helpheart.org because it's personal.
And just quick headlines for you today to keep you up to date. Bank of America has reported a drop in first quarter profit after setting aside over $1 billion for loan losses. But the lender was able to partially offset this with a jump in investment banking fees. As well as cyber attack on Change Healthcare is expected to cost United Health Group up to $1.6 billion. But despite the hit, the healthcare conglomerate beat first quarter earning estimates. And with the AI chip demand going strong, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company is expected to report a 5% rise in first quarter profit. The company is set to report earnings Thursday. Seems like more and more retirees are re-entering the job market, and many more are expected to join them. The Pew Research Center found that Americans over 75 are the fastest growing age group in the workforce. They have more than quadrupled in size in 1964, and forecasters expect that this number to double in the next decade. And some retirees said the cost of living went up and they could no longer afford their medication. Some researchers think that people are living longer and are healthier in their older age. Plus, there are more jobs available that are not labor intensive. Another possibility is the increase in hybrid and remote jobs, making it easier for Americans to continue working. Now, imagine this. You inherit a property only to find a stranger there living when you go sell it, and months later, the cops won't even remove them, and you're paying taxes and other expenses on the place at the same time. People are calling these intruders squatters, and they've been making headlines recently, especially in New York City, where squatters get tenants' rights after just 30 days. So we have Chris here with us. You've been following this extensively. So explain this to us, Chris. First of all, what is squatting and how do you define it?
Well, Don, yeah, I've been following this for a while, and the more I looked into it, the more kind of confused and blown away I was. I mean, a squatter is basically a person who lives on your property or uses it without your permission, sometimes for years, and they can actually take ownership of your property if long enough. In New York State, if you live like that on someone's property without getting kicked off, you can actually become the owner in 10 years. It's called adverse possession. There are some cases where this could be seen as legitimate in some courts. I mean, imagine that you get conned into buying a property from somebody who doesn't actually own that property. You live there, say, for 25, 30 years, and then the actual owner shows up. You could see how there's almost some case for this kind of thing in a court case.
You know, that's really interesting, but what I'm wondering here is, Chris, isn't a squatter basically an intruder? I mean, am I wrong on that? Why can't you just kick them out?
Yeah, Don, every squatter starts out as an intruder, just like any trespasser, like a robber. The thing is, say you go out of town for a few weeks or you inherit a property and you can't be there to develop it for the first few months or so. Somebody comes in and moves their stuff in and they're actually living there. That's when they go from being an intruder to being a squatter. And when the cops show up at a person's house where there's a squatter living there, they can't actually discern whether or not that person is the legitimate owner. I mean, sometimes these people have fake leases, so they can actually trick the cops in that instance. And so the cops say, take this to civil court. I spoke with an attorney, Paul Golden from Coffee Modica LLC. Let's hear that SOP now.
Seems like we don't have that SOT right now. But Chris, this sounds unbelievable to me. I mean, I'm just imagining someone hearing this for the very first time and what must be going through their minds hearing this. Can you give us some examples of what you're talking about?
Yeah, Don, I did a report on this couple in Queens. They bought a duplex, they renovated it, they spent like $500,000. Their real estate agent got some leases for some tenants lined up. She went to look at the property and she found that the locks had actually been changed. And she couldn't get in. The next day she goes, she sees a man inside standing there with a hoodie and a power drill. And I guess this guy saw her because when she went to her car to call the cops, he and a bunch of other men surrounded the car. She said they were intimidating her. The next day, she goes back to the property with the owners. The squatters show up with a fake lease, and the owners have the ownership documents, so the squatters get escorted off the property. Soon after that, the proper owners actually get served with legal papers saying they're getting sued by these squatters. They did eventually win this lawsuit, but they said that they felt abused, like they felt taken advantage of, and they didn't think this thing should ever happen, Don.
Wow, unbelievable. Like I said, thank you very much for your insight today. That's all the time we have. It was such a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. It seems like all sizes are sold out. This came after basketball star Caitlin Clark was drafted into the WNBA. The Iowa player was selected with the #1 pick to join the Indiana Fever team. A sports reporter posted on X that Fanatics sold out Clark's #22 Fever jersey in just 1 hour. Clark wrapped up her career at Iowa as college basketball's all-time leading scorer. She will make her professional debut this summer. And that's all we have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any feedback or comments, feel free to let me know down below. And just one last thing, don't forget, business matters. Goodbye, see you tomorrow.